Hi. So you're in marketing, you're in business, and you're trying to reach as many people as you can. So what are the three most common mistakes that marketers make? We're going to talk about that with Mike McMahon, and we're also going to tell you how to fix them. So let's get into the show. Hi, Mike. How's it going?
How you doing, Bruce? Thanks for having me here. I'm looking forward to our discussion today.
So real quick, I am Bruce Himmelblau with Blue Sky Video Production. We're YouTube strategists and live stream producers. And Michael is also in the marketing realm. And so let's get into some of your background. What makes you such an expert, and why do people listen to you?
That's a good question. What makes me an expert? I'm not sure. I'm always learning. So I'll tell you what I have done, and whether I'm an expert or not, I guess that remains to be seen. I've spent 35 years in marketing in one capacity or another. Some of my roles were, let's call it, tangentially related to marketing, not necessarily directly, but my philosophy is that marketing affects virtually every aspect of the organization. So I think we're all marketers in some capacity. 30 of those years I spent in the corporate world doing anything from corporate marketing to product development, pricing, e-commerce. I wore a lot of hats in my roles. Since I left the corporate world, I do both marketing consulting as well as e-commerce consulting, and I do that for tiny firms. I work a bit with the Lake County Small Business Development Center. In some cases, those are literally startups that a company doesn't even exist yet, all the way to large, software development companies. So my expertise is in core marketing. I like to think that I help companies get unstuck with their marketing efforts.
Excellent. Yeah, my background is kind of realm in that marketing, as opposed to what others would call sales. Although the money companies actually combine the sales and marketing as one thing. Is that possible, or should they be kept separate?
I think if you try to segregate them and not have them work hand in hand, I think it's a big mistake, because the sales team is, whether they're live feet on the street in customers' offices, or whether they're doing it over the phone through some kind of telemarketing or anything in between, they're your soldiers. They're the stewards of the company's brand. And in order to do a good job of basically promoting that brand and using it to deliver sales, they have to kind of understand the marketing message and the value proposition. And if they don't have that background, then you're leaving them to their own volition to basically make things up. And I think that's when danger might be ensuing. So I think marketing has to help give the sales the tools to do their job of sales. And if you've got good products, good service, and then wrap that in with competitive pricing and then good messaging, then I think you're really handing something very valuable to the sales team that they can go out and use to generate those sales.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes is, "It's not who you know, it's who knows you." And I know sometimes they reverse it, but I think with marketing, you put the message out there, they recognize your name, and then when they come to know, like, and trust you, when you call, they'll answer the phone.
Absolutely. Yeah, good. It could be one of the words of the day is trust. And I think there's even books that have been written about trust marketing. And if you're a good sales representative, you're basically trying to earn the client's trust, and you do that through consistency and, of course, delivering something valuable to them. So hence the intermingling with the marketing efforts.
So speaking of consistency, that kind of ties into the theme of our show today, which is the three common marketing mistakes, and how to correct them.
Yep.
So let's get into number one.
Okay.
Which is mistake number one: lack of customer centricity.
All right. I'm sure that most of those that are viewing this, or either live or watching it after the fact, if you ask them, your company, your role, your company, are you customer centric? They would say, well, absolutely, we're customer centric. We're very customer focused. That's what we do. So it's kind of one of those questions where when you ask it, you're going to get basically a standard response. But I think if you peel the onion a little bit and delve a little deeper into the activities, not just what they say, but what they're actually doing, you'll find that many companies, even though they think they're being customer centric, they're actually being quite company centric. So that would be the opposite of customer centricity, would being company centric. I tell people that when you want to really get into your marketing, you can't be looking in the mirror and basing your marketing around what you see in the mirror. You got to look out the window, because that's your target audience. So, break the mirror and open the window and take a look out, because that's who you're targeting, and that's who you got to serve. And it's a common mistake, Bruce, because if especially in the startup phase, people are so proud of their offering, their product or service, and what they want to do is they want to shout from the highest mountain, "Look at me!" I call it "Look at me" marketing. Yep. And it unfortunately, the harsh reality is the customers just really, really, really don't care about your company. It's not what they're interested in. They're interested in solving their problems and making things better for them. And if all you talk about in your promotional literature, your website, your social media, if you just talk about me, 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 I say that it's like when the teacher talks to Charlie Brown in the Peanuts cartoons. All they hear is wah, 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 and they don't want to hear about you. They want to hear about how you can help them. So that's one of the biggest mistakes, is just trying to just talk about your company, because frankly, people don't care.
And the way I think you can find that is if you're using the product name too much. I think the saying is also sell the sizzle, not the steak. Mm-hmm. And most people try to sell the steak. Like this steak is made out of good beef and it's aged, but what people want out of it is the taste and the fact that it helps satisfy them to an extent.
Well, here's an example for you, and this comes from the consumer world. I think of a BMW commercial. The tagline for BMW is "the ultimate driving machine," and in the commercials they'll have a lady or a gentleman driving the car. It's like a convertible on a seaside mountain road, and they're just cornering, and they're just look like they are having a blast. Well, they are fulfilling. In this case, it's a want, not a need. But you'll notice that the advertising is targeting, feel the road, feel the excitement. They're not talking about the horsepower and the rack and pinion steering and how many cc's the engine is. It's none of that. It's because and you can get wrapped up in all of those metrics and numbers to talk about your product, but you really want to talk about what experience are you delivering and what problems are you solving, and get out of the realm of talking about the product itself, but what does the product do for your client or customer or your service?
So can you get another example of what is a me phrased message?
I'm sorry, I missed that, Bruce.
Can you give me another example of a me phrased message, someone that's trying to incorporate the company within their messaging as opposed to the customer's want or need?
I don't know if I could come up with off the top of my head another example like the BMW one, but
Apple has a great messaging, and people follow Steve Jobs and Steve Jobs messaging.
Well, Steve Jobs is to me the best marketer of all time, and he didn't really talk about ever. He didn't talk about what the products did. It was how they helped you. He didn't wave an iPhone around, and he was talking about how it's going to make your life better. It wasn't about the size of the memory and the size of the screen and the Gorilla Glass that the screen is made out of. It was not about the product itself. It was about how the product changed your life. In that case, the development of the smartphone, it was a life-changing thing. There was no smartphone before him.
Yep. Actually, in some cases, he revolutionized the industry as opposed to creating the industry.
He did, and I don't want to have our attendees make the assumption that we're all going to be Steve Jobs as marketers, because I think he's a once in a lifetime guy, and he is. And this is kind of a good point to lead into. Steve Jobs had some uncanny ability to, like the Gretzky line, you don't skate to where the puck is, you skate to where it's going. Steve Jobs was always knowing where he knew more about what customers needed than the customers themselves. So short of us being Steve Jobs, what us human beings have to resort to is trying to uncover what those needs are. And you do that through research and effectively talking to customers. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure why, a lot of folks will skip that part of it, and they just want to get into the tactics. And we're kind of stealing thunder from later discussions here. But talk to your customers, understand, not just your customers, maybe the people that turned you down. What could we have done better? Or even current customers, how can we be better? And just always be trying to improve that offering, your differentiation, and how you're serving the customer. I don't know. I think that Apple was tremendous, or still is tremendous, the most valuable company in the world. Still is tremendous at that. They do a wonderful job of anticipating customer needs and desires. For the rest of us, I think it's probably just, you might have to do the research itself. And there's a plethora of ways to do the research. But one of the best, and I don't think this will ever be replaced, is to frankly just talk to customers. You'll learn a lot with discussions. And I know the role of surveys and reading reviews and writing reviews and all that, and trying to gain insights from that. But there's a whole closet full of challenges with that, questionnaire bias, et cetera. I think a lot of it is, if you can observe customers, fantastic. But if not, talk to them. Those are probably some of the best things you can do as a marketer.
So let's bring up mistake number 2, which is confusing activity with accomplishment. So just getting started might feel good, but marketing without research and planning is destined to fail, which is what you were kind of leading into just a minute ago.
Yeah, that's the thing. And these, it's almost not like 1 and 2. It's like 1A and 1B, because they're both hugely important. And I get it. People want to, they think to themselves, oh, I need to goose up my sales. How can I do that? Well, I need a marketing. I need better marketing. So they think to themselves, how can I make my marketing better? So they're on the path. They want to do something. But I think the approach they take is often, and this isn't universal, but it's common. It's our theme is common mistakes. What people often do is they want to just get started. So they will do something like they will hire. I'm talking to small businesses now. Some businesses don't have a website. Okay. So they'll think, okay, I got to build a website. I've actually had people ask me, how much does it cost to build a website? How long does it take to build a website? Well, who knows? I mean, it's like saying, how long does it take to build a house, or how long does it take? What does a house cost? It depends on the house. It depends on what you want it to do. Is it a vacation home? Is it a mansion? Is it a prefabricated home that you can deliver and it's there in a day? There's different types of homes. Well, there's different types of websites. And so you can't just say, I'm going to build a website, I'm going to do it in the next month, and then I'm going to be good. You have to plan it. And marketing, good marketing, is rooted in planning. And I say that marketing is kind of related. All marketing is related to, I think it's simple. It's just not easy. I think there's 2 steps to marketing. And it's number 1, we talked about this, find out what the customer needs. And 2, and find a way to efficiently deliver that. And people skip that first one and they just get started. They want to start building something, and it feels good. They feel like they're doing something. And that can be a tough road to get on, because you're doing something. Not only are you likely wasting money, but you probably, in some cases, you might even be detrimental to your effort. So you're doing something that might actually be injuring your brand, or not, or at best case, you might just be wasting a bunch of money. So does
that actually happen on social media, where people are posting social media off-brand content, and how does that tie into messaging as well?
Well, that's a good question. So well, first of all, they in order to be off-brand, they would have had to establish a brand, and that's one of the other things is they're not consistent in their messaging. That people don't know what they stand for, and so if they have a brand, let's say you're in the service sector and your brand is, we are going to turn around X service within 24 hours, or your brand, let's say your brand is, we are the best. We are the best at delivering this particular service. And we have this great warranty and blah, 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 blah. And then your social media efforts, or even your website, for example, might not be echoing that brand messaging. It might be something completely off kilter, and might be something that is completely unrelated, or might even conflict with that statement. So I'm a big believer in planning and developing brand messaging, brand promise. What do you stand for? And you can't just stand for, we deliver a great product at a good price.
Usually the comment is, we deliver great customer service, because we are the only company that actually delivers good customer service, because no one else does.
Yeah. And then if you call that company, they say, we're sorry, due to unusually high call volume, we are experiencing delays. Your business is very valuable to us, so please hold on. Okay, well, wait, if I'm so valuable, why am I holding? So anyway, that to me is inconsistent. So, and it's so common, it's like it's accepted now. But
also the fact that everybody feels that they deliver good customer service. At least they try to deliver good customer service.
Yeah, well, you're only as good as the weakest link. So if you have a customer service team that knows what your brand stands for, and that's another thing, you have to kind of train them on this. So if you have sales reps, they have to know what your brand stands for. Your customer service team, anybody, if you have a problem and it goes beyond customer service, and you have to send someone out to fix the problem or something. I didn't have this in my talking points, but it's a very important point. Every interaction with a customer, every single one is either enhancing that brand or diminishing that brand. There's very few neutrals. So if everyone in your organization, or every interaction knows, I have an opportunity. Yeah, I know this customer is complaining. They had a problem. Every company has problems. How you deal with that problem, if you say that you have great customer service, well, then you have to deliver on it. How did I do an exemplary job of taking care of that problem? In my consumer world of my own consumer purses, I've had problems as everybody else does. But I've had a couple of instances where the problem handling was so exceptional, it made me loyal to that brand for life. One of them, Life Fitness equipment, for exercise equipment. I've had a couple of issues with them over the years. I got a couple different machines, and every time I deal with them, they are just gold standard in service. Okay, well, guess what? They got a customer for life out of that, because they stand by what they stand for, which is great fitness equipment and great service. Now, if they said that and then didn't follow up with me, or they sent out some less than professional service person, I wouldn't have that same regard for the elevated brand that I have in my mind.
So pretty much everybody in the company is a reflection of the business and is doing their part to market their business. Just here's one quick example. The other day I was walking to an appointment. So I was crossing the street, and then there's a one of these delivery trucks that package delivery services. I stopped and I motioned to them, like, go ahead, because they're pretty much tracked that they must deliver their packages in a certain time zone, in a certain time rate. And so I'm thinking, okay, for their advantage, let them go first so they can make the turn, and then I'll cross the street, because I wasn't that much of a hurry. But he stopped and he motioned me to go ahead. And I said, no, you go ahead. And he said, no, you go ahead. And so I finally went across the street. So he was basically showing that his brand cares about the normal, I guess, traffic or foot traffic. And you're kind of like, it's one step like, well, yeah, maybe I'll hire them next time I need package delivery.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, because from the product itself, or in this case, a delivery service, the service, from the website to the brand statement we talked about, the brand promise, all the way down to if you had to call that company for some reason, or in this case, just the interactions with a stranger. You weren't even the house they were delivering to. You were just a random person on the street. That still is either promoting or diminishing their brand. So that's a good point. It has to get all the way down to that, in this case, probably the end of the food chain for them, the person actually delivering the package.
So great. Moving on to topic number 3 is marketing in isolation. And I think we kind of talked about this a little bit before as well, ignoring other business functions. Virtually every business functioning is marketing. Even fantastic marketing can't overcome other poor functions.
Yeah, we kind of segued a little bit into that, but I wanted to talk about a couple things with this. In my corporate world, I was responsible for a number of different product lines. And one product line I assumed was, let's call it, it wasn't handled well previously, and it had consistency with specifications, and that led to quality problems and ultimately led to returns and bad customer experience, et cetera. I bring up that point because I consider myself a pretty good marketer, but I knew that there's nothing I could do feasibly that would work to take that, call it a bad product, and then deliver excellent marketing and make that product successful. I just knew that it was doomed until I did the diligence of correcting those problems. So that's kind of an example of marketing is not just a function. It, as I mentioned earlier at the outset, it permeates virtually every element of the business. In this case, it's actually down into the nuts and bolts of a particular product. And if you don't have all of your I's dotted and your T's crossed in that, at that granular level of the product itself, the packaging, the messaging, all of these things, it diminishes the product. In this case, you're never going to be able to market a bad product with fantastic marketing. It just won't work. So that's why I talk about marketing in isolation. It's name of my company is Holistic B2B. Holistic meaning you got to take this holistic approach to everything. So it relates to the products, of course. I just got done saying the packaging. The packaging has to look great. You'll notice that somebody like Chanel doesn't put their product in schlocky packaging. In the phones and computers, Apple started that trend where they had just amazing packaging. We talked about Apple a lot, but their packaging was, they were the first ones to just have the just stellar packaging. So what my point of it is, you can't just think of marketing as a function, and marketing is not just a name, a brand, a website, or a brochure. It's everything. It's that messaging or the way that delivery driver is just conditioned to be customer centric, customer first. I don't even know this guy, but I'm going to wave him ahead of me because you know what? He is more important than me at this point. So that's the point, is you can't isolate marketing and treat it as a separate function. You got to incorporate marketing into virtually every aspect of your organization.
Yep. And so let's pull up your website real quick. And so your holisticb2b.com. And so for people who are looking for marketing advice, where's a good place to start? Do they start with
There's a form on here, contact us. It'll send me an email. And while we're talking about the website here and talking about consistency, I'm in the process of revamping it. My website is, my background, as I mentioned earlier, was e-commerce and marketing. I'm principally a marketer. I had a lot to do with e-commerce. So my website is pretty much targeted at e-commerce. There's a little flavor of marketing interspersed about. There's a bunch of marketing blogs embedded in there. But the contact me, the Let's Talk, I think it's called. Let's Talk is a way to get in touch with me, and it's got a form you can fill out that'll generate an email that's sent to me, and then I'll be back in touch with whomever engages through that website.
As long as you're not a robot, right?
As long as you're not a robot, it does have a CAPTCHA. Yes.
Great. And anything else you want to add to the marketing message? So let's go. I want to review what we just talked about, the 3 common mistakes. So the 3. Let me pull those up real quick.
Okay.
There we go. And oops.
I think I have one more thing to say when you get to it in one of the slides. So we'll just take 30 seconds on that.
No, go ahead. I need to pull up. I need to just swap out.
It was related to the mistake number 2, confusing activity with accomplishment. We started talking about, just deciding to build a website or start a direct mail campaign or an email campaign or a social media campaign, et cetera, without doing the proper planning. I believe there's a sequential way that it's advisable to do this research, and it's nothing that you can't read in 50 different places online. It's understand who the customer is, identify your targets, develop your value proposition, and then from there you can start trying to do your targeting and your messaging, et cetera. And then so you have to do all of that work, and there's a sequential process. Again, you can find it in a myriad places, but my point is marketing has a planning to it, and people tend to want to just go to the tactical thing, which is building a website or developing a social media campaign, and they'll hire someone who's very talented, someone like you, Bruce, or we had Angela Denton, who's a social media maven, and you or Angela, in this case, you have to have some guidance as to who you're targeting and what message, because without that, you're kind of lost, and you need to know that to do your job effectively.
Right, because again, unless you're doing it in-house, and even if you are doing it in-house, you need to have a cohesive message, like a brainstorming, like let's throw a whole bunch of ideas up on the wall and see which ones stick, and then which one, when you decide to go with a single message, to continue with that one. But if you're hiring an outside firm, they haven't gone through that process, so you need to go through that process with them as well.
You have to do it either way, so you might as well do it before you're actually hiring someone and paying them to do it. And final point is, I liken it to, let's say you are swinging at a piñata at a party, and you just are taking wild swings because you're blindfolded. You don't know where the thing is. That's what I liken doing activities for marketing without having a plan. Is the planning and the research is what takes the blindfold off of you, that allows you to target your swing, so you're hitting something, as opposed to just flailing away doing random things hoping you're successful. And that's so keep that visual in mind. Don't swing at the piñata without taking your blindfold off through marketing research and planning.
Yeah, because a lot of people go after the newest shiny object. Like, okay, they just introduced a new social media platform. Let's jump on that and spend time on that, having not really worked on any other platform. So you run to Twitter, like, oh, so now Instagram's getting bigger. Let's jump over to Instagram, but you haven't really fleshed out your Twitter. And then there's this new Clubhouse. Let's go spend some time on this Clubhouse, and you're not even finished with Instagram. And so a lot of companies, and I usually suggest, is maybe be on multiple platforms, but your message has to be really solid on one of those platforms. So you create a home there, and actually the best home is actually still your website.
Yep. And deliver that message consistently across whatever media it is that you're using.
So great. So again, mistake number 1, lack of customer centricity. And actually, you can review these as well, since these are your slides.
I didn't know if you wanted me to chime in yet. Okay.
Okay. Actually, why don't you review them, and I'll just.
Okay. Lack of customer centricity. Just always think, what effort I'm doing, is this doing a good job of helping my customer accomplish something? This is not about me, my company, it's about them. So how am I making their life better? We just got done talking about this one, confusing activity with accomplishment. Don't just do things, plan things, strategic things, and take the blindfold off, do your planning, marketing research, talk to customers. It's the best thing you can do. And you know what it will do for you? It takes a little work. Roll up your sleeves. You got to do it. However, it's the best way to leverage your money, because you will, by doing that research, your spend is going to go a lot further, because it's going to be effective and it's going to generate sales and not just likes and and other forwarding of different articles, etc.
And don't be afraid to ask your customer and talk to your customer.
Talk to your customers. Don't your customers are an unbelievably valuable resource. And if you talk to them like you're not going to try to sell them anything more, you can talk to them and say, hey, we love the fact that you're a customer of ours and we greatly appreciate your business, but I'm not calling you today, or I'm not visiting you today to sell you anything. I want you to take your guard down a little bit. Let's just have a conversation. How can we, my company, how can we do better at what we do? I'm not trying to sell you anything. I value your opinion highly. You're my target audience, my target customer. How do I do a better job of not only servicing you, but reaching you? And then you might get some guidance as to how he or she is, what platforms, how you reach them. So have those conversations and visit those customers, and don't always think that there's going to be a direct buck in it for you. Sometimes the research is far more valuable than an additional sale.
Yep. And then number 3.
And finally, marketing in isolation. That's where you can't just treat marketing like a function. You have to have it embedded in virtually every element of your organization, every activity, every customer interaction. Everything is either enhancing your brand and making your company stronger, or that same interaction, if it's done poorly, it's going to diminish your brand and likely have a negative effect on your results.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And again, contact Mike at holisticb2b.com, and he can help you put together your plan, because every business should have a marketing plan in addition to a business plan, and so that you're not actually just going out there with misguided messages or mixed messages. Yep, or blindfold.
Yes.
Great.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. It's great being here.
Thank you much, and thanks for being a guest. And I look forward to more conversations with you.
Okay. Thank you, Bruce. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.